Hey everybody, this is Dr. William Clark for the Dr. William Clark podcast. Glad to be with you for another episode. We got a Power Pack episode today. We have Chantel Lawrence who's going to talk to us about credit, budgeting, and all that good stuff. Chantel, how are you today?
I am fine. Thank you, Dr. Williams. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, let's jump right into this episode. Chantel, tell us a little bit about
Okay.
you.
Well, my name is Chantel Lawrence, and I am a life and finance coach. As a life coach, my focus is on personal development for professional women. I am a veteran. I served 7.5 years in the Army. I also have a healthcare agency that caters to the sick and the elderly in their home. I just started a nonprofit called VAWA, Veterans with a Purpose. What we do at VAWA, we bridge the gap for the elderly that aren't able to fully afford the home care needs that they need. And we also assist women veterans when they're transitioning back to the civilian world. We assist them by getting them ready to take on the civilian world, and we focus on their mental and emotional health. I'm also an author. You can find my book on Amazon called MIM, Money in the Mix, and my children's book called Our Hero, Our Dad.
Well, Chantel, I do want to thank you for your service and thank you for your commitment to our country.
You're
I
welcome.
also want to thank you in advance for what you're getting ready to do to help a ton of people. So I want to jump into this conversation. Particularly, I want to focus on the budget side, and then we'll come back to your nonprofit and the work that you're doing. Now, I want to start on the budget side before we do credit stuff because uh, uh, we've met each other online and I think a number of online social media groups focused on nonprofit stuff. And I've seen your posts talking about money and budgeting, and this particular podcast is all about fundraising. So I agree and co-sign with the things you've been posting. One of the things that I see a lot when newbies join the group and they celebrate getting their 501c3 and they're super excited, the first thing they say is, how do I raise money? Right. And I'm always the guy that says, yeah, you're not going to get that like $50,000, $100,000 grant out the door. That's not how that works. But one of the pieces of advice I give Chantel is if you want quick money coming in the door immediately, you should strongly consider tithing to your organization. It brings in cash flow. It starts to put little money in your savings. And if you're bored, if your volunteers, if your family and friends partner with you and tithe as well, you'll have money to put you on a stipend immediately, which is healthy. And I literally posted a few moments ago, it allows you to pay for the consultants you need to get off the ground to help you get some things done. Can you start to walk us through some budgeting principles that empowers people with the thought process, the healthy thought process to start tithing so they can start funding elements and functions of their nonprofit organization?
Sure. Actually, you are right. For some reason, I've come across a lot of individual when it comes to nonprofit, they automatically thinks that it's free. And I posted that too. Nonprofit does not mean free, and you should run your nonprofit just as you would run a for-profit where it makes a profit. Not because it says nonprofit, it doesn't mean you cannot make a profit, and it does not mean that you get every service for free. That's not how it works. However, when it comes to budgeting, and I say this to a lot of my clients, how you run your business when it comes to money is how you run your personal finances. So if you have bad personal financing traits when it comes to your personal financing, it's the same way you're going to run your business. So I always say start from the basics, go back to basics. I love telling my clients that go back to basics. When you go back to basics, you get to understand what money is to you, not what your grandfather said it is, not what your mother said it is, or your parents, not what anyone says money is, but you have a definition for what money is to you. When you have a definition of what money is to you and what it means to you, you are going to handle money better and differently. But when you don't have a definition for yourself, you will not appreciate it. So you're going to do whatever with it. But when you specifically attach it to you, your life, you are going to handle it better. So when you do that, there are different budgeting styles. And I always say this, how you manage your finances in business reflects how your personal finances are. So start with your personal finances. Mix your personal finances good, which is why my book, Money in the mix it well. My granddad always said, mix it good, gal. Always learn to mix your money properly. If you don't, it's going to end up mixing you, meaning you're going to have this, that, and everything, and you're caught in the mix. But when you understand what money is and what budgeting is, and you practice, I'm going to say, healthy habits, when it comes to your finances, it shows. So when you go into business, you can use those same healthy habits to manage your professional finances. There are different types of budget. You just have to figure out which one best works for you. Every budget should be according to your finances, not someone else's. Everyone's finances are different. So the first step, even in business, is to find out what budget works for you. You and I can have a nonprofit organization, and your finances or your expenses are going to be different from mine, because guess what? You have different skills from what I have. What you're be able to cover yourself in the organization until funds start coming in, I might not able to do that. So guess what? I'm going to have to hire someone to pick that up. So the importance in budgeting is to figure out what your expenses will be for your company, and from there you create a budget. Create a budget and ask individuals in your life, whether it's friends, family members, co-workers, whoever it is, to donate something to you, to your cause.
That's good. And the thing about it is, I know that when people hear that term tithing, they immediately go to a faith reference. They go to a scripture reference, and I totally get it. I subscribe to it. I'm a person of faith. I get it. But I think, Chantel, I think what I'm getting at when I talk about tithing, it's the principle behind it, right? So you're the finance guru. I have studied, finance, budgeting, business development, all this other stuff. And what's common amongst the books I've read, the mentors that I've gotten, is that there is a core belief that 30% of one's revenue should be divided as such: 10% to God, 10% to your savings, and 10% to an investment. If you subscribe to that, tell us about why those things are important. Because I think that if we have a joint understanding of how that 30% of our income is or should be divided, if we're building something towards a future, then I think it can bring further clarity as to why I'm suggesting, nonprofit newbies should be tithing to their organization.
Okay, sure. See, I don't go by the 80-20, 80-30, the 70-30 rule. I do it differently. I do 60-40.
So go ahead. So take us there. Okay.
Why I do 60-40? Because if you're living below your means, then you shouldn't have a problem doing 60-40. But yes, tithing in your business, it's not anything that has to do with faith. It's you believing in your vision and what you're doing, so you're pouring into it, and you can hack others to pour into it. Now, applying some form of principle to your finances will help you keep you in line. It will not work perfectly all the time, but it will assist you whenever you go off the road. It helps to bring you back on the track to your goal. So you are correct. It has a lot to do with your principles, your finance principles. People don't understand your finances has everything to do with all aspects of your life. If your finances are out of whack, guess what? You are always going to be stressed no matter how much you go to the spa, no matter how much you try to do everything else. If your finances are out of whack, if they're not in sync, if they're not aligned with what you're bringing in, what you're spending, what your belief is, what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish, if it's not aligned with you as an individual, you are going to have problems, which is why it is important to develop those principles from early. And if you don't, you can develop good principles, good financial habits at any point in time in your life. It's never too late. Some people think, oh, I'm this age, so it makes no sense to try to understand money now. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't matter where you are in your life. You can always develop healthy money habits, healthy finance habits, whatever you want to call it. It is important to have those principles instilled in you, because if you don't, how are you going to manage? If you're not managing your personal finances, how do you expect to manage your business finances? Your business finances can become more complicated. So if you're struggling with your personal finances and you don't have any control over that, you are going to be in trouble when it comes to your business. Having those principles and having something that's behind you that helps keep you in alignment with what your beliefs are when it comes to money, it helps take you further along the journey that you're going. When you don't have that, then you're literally picking the rabbit out of a hat, and sometimes there won't be any rabbit in that hat. So you have to, no one can do it for you. A lot of my clients come to me and say, oh, I want you to do this for me. I said, no. Okay, we're going to do this again, and we're going to say this again. I'm not doing anything for you. I'm simply teaching you how to better manage your money different ways. What works for this client will not work for that client. I am just here to give you the knowledge. I am not here to do budget for you. What happens when I'm not around? You will not be budgeting, and your budget should be flexible and simple. Your budget doesn't have to be this complicated thing that you're afraid to attack or to touch. Your budget is something simple. Your budget is basically telling you where your money is going. Don't you want to know? When you're going on a road trip, you want to know where you're going. The same goes for your money. You having a budget, it tells you the direction where your money is going, so you can better plan for what may come and what may not come. Now, bear in mind, being prepared for something does not mean that it won't happen, or it doesn't mean that your preparation for that thing is going to make it 100% easy. No, it will just allow you to go through it a little bit better. So having that, whether it's 60-40 rule, 80-20, or 70-30 rule applied to your finances, having one of those rules, any rule that works for you, it helps keep you balanced. It's all about balance. Balance in your checkbook, reconciling your bank account. That's where all of that comes in. Not having one of those to apply, you're basically just putting your money anywhere. You stop here, you swipe your card there, you swipe there, and before you know it, there's nothing on the card left to swipe. So implementing one of those rules, either the 80-20, 70-30, like I said, I do the 60-40, because I believe that if I can live off of that, that will give me a lot of room to dance. If you cannot, move around in your finances, then you are literally trapped by your finances. You should not be trapped. You should have room where you can move. You are flexible. You have options. When you don't have option, that's when the stress comes on. The financial stress comes on, and financial stress brings on so many other stress. It brings on mental or emotional stress. So getting your finance together, it has a huge impact in a positive way on your life per se.
I wish we had more time because I would love to just go back and forth with you because I agree with everything you said. Um, I was a little surprised by the 60-40 recommendation. I think for a lot of people listening, that might be a little aggressive, but I get the recommendation. I get it. And I think the principle you're talking about at the end of the day, pick one and just stick to it. And then as you master
Exactly.
one, you get to the next one. The other thing I heard you say, Chantel, really, when you show your faithfulness over a little bit, you'll be equally faithful over much greater resources when they come, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I think that is the principle when it comes to starting a business. Like everybody wants to start a business, for profit or nonprofit, but the reality is it's difficult to manage a business and all the complexities when you can't manage your personal life. And I just preached a sermon this past Sunday when I was telling my congregation that how you learn to forgive and function within a committed relationship is indicative of your ability to function in non-committed relationships. So
There you go.
how I treat my wife and my children who I deeply love is indicative of how I'll treat somebody who doesn't live in my household, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I can treat people a certain type of way that don't live with me, but I don't show that commitment to my own family, then you can trust that I'm going to be unfaithful, unreliable, and all this good stuff. And I think you're saying the same thing with the finances. But the last thing I wanted to cover on the budget, because I really want to jump to the credit side, is you're talking about 60-40. I put out there 70-30. Doesn't matter. Pick one, right? But when someone decides to pick one of these principles, and then they ask the question to you and I, what can I do with the tithe that comes to my organization? So I want to go back and forth with you. We'll go take for tack on this, right? So I'll give an idea, you give an idea, right? And we'll go for a little while. If you start tithing to your organization, you can put yourself on a stipend or a salary. Your turn.
This this question is a tough one. See, this stipend thing or salary thing, it goes back. How prepared were you financially when you're starting this business? That's what it goes back to. Because if you didn't create a budget, it doesn't have to be perfect. If you didn't say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm gonna need this much and whatever, how do you expect to put yourself on a stipend when you didn't have a budget? Having a budget is also going to set how much stipend you want to give yourself or salary. So not having a budget for your business that you're starting, how are you going to say you want to give yourself a stipend? My belief is get the company organized. Do not off the bat try to get these. If it's a nonprofit, don't try to get these $100,000 grant, $50,000 grant. What I did when I was forming my nonprofit, my boss sissies, I called every single one of them and I said, I'm starting this nonprofit. This is what it's for. I am asking you to donate or to give something towards it. Before I finished formalizing my nonprofit, I had $15,000 for my nonprofit. That's by me asking all of the boss ladies that I know, this is what I'm doing. And they're like, okay, no problem. When you get your 501c status, let me know and I'll write it off. And I received funds for my nonprofit before I was able to open the bank account. I had the funds sitting there at the office. So the stipend I don't think you should pay yourself anything for the first 3 months of starting your business. Focus, especially if you did not create a budget in starting your business. If you didn't create a budget, how do you expect to know or have a number down to pay yourself or to give yourself a stipend? this is where it comes to preparation. This is where it comes to budgeting, so you have an idea of how much it's going to take to run the business for that 3 to 6 months. So if you put yourself in that budget, then guess what? You're going to be included. So when you have that money, you can say, okay, I'm included in the budget, so I can get a stipend. But if you don't do that, you won't know. You're just playing it by ear. So my belief is, don't pay yourself anything for the first 3 months. It's going to be rough, but that's okay. Unless you do it the other way. You do a budget, you do fundraising while you're starting the business or before you start. That's what I did, and that's what I believe. Not having a budget, you cannot say, okay, this month I'm going to pay myself $2,000. Next month I'm going to pay myself $3,000. No, I don't think that's the way to go.
All right. When you tithe the organization, you can cover the cost of your office and office rent. Your turn.
True. However, if you don't have to get an office off the bat, use your home address. That's cutting the overhead costs. I did that with my healthcare agency for the first year and a half. I did not get an office space. And what I would do is, at first I started meeting my CNAs at a McDonald's to interview them. And then I rented out a conference room from a realtor where I started interviewing my CNAs there. And then when I was in a better position, then I got an office space, and I have my office space now that I use for all my businesses. So to reduce overhead costs, use your home address. Get a PO box for if you don't want the mails coming to your home address, pay for a PO box. That's much cheaper than office rent.
Last one. When you start tithing to your organization, you can use those funds to partner with other organizations for greater impact and outcomes. Your turn.
That I agree with. I love the partnering idea, because if there's someone else doing it already before you, why make the same mistakes that they already made? Why not partner with them, avoid those mistakes that they made, because they already been through what you're about to go through. So why not take the knowledge from them and do it better and keep it moving? If you have an organization already, whether a nonprofit or for-profit, I'm going to model you, because you already went through the trials and figure out, okay, I'm not going to do it that way because it's going to create this problem. And you found a way for it to work. So why am I going to put myself through all that headache when you already been through it? I'm going to model you. And if it's a nonprofit, I'm going to partner with you because you already been through all the levels that I'm about to go through now. So it makes sense to partner with you so we can create more impact to the community. But I think the mindset here's where the mindset comes in. Some of us think that we can do it by yourself. They don't know that you do greater impact in numbers. And when it comes to business, it's not about you. Business is not an individual thing, because you can't run a business by yourself. You cannot. You need someone for different areas in the business. So if it's a nonprofit, why not partner with a nonprofit that has years of experience, even if it's months? You're just starting. They started 2 years ago. Guess what? There already been 2-3 years that you have not been through. So I agree with that. Yeah.
All right. So let's jump to the other side in the last few moments we have together. It's been said that personal credit and business credit kind of have an impact on each other. Explain the difference between personal and business credit. Talk to us about why nonprofit operators, creators, leaders, founders need to get their personal credit fixed, and how that helps access business credit opportunities for their nonprofit or their other businesses.
Okay. For one, you can build a business credit without attaching your social. I've helped clients build business credit that has nothing to do with their social or anything. It's strictly in the business name, the business numbers attached to it, not your social. When you mix both of them and if the business goes down, you personally personally are going to be liable for all that debt. So before, that's how individuals used to do it, but you don't have to do it that. When you do it that way, you're basically being a PG, a personal guarantor for your business. You don't want that headache, because when you have all of that on your personal credit, your business stuff, when you try to get stuff on the personal side, they're going to say, no, you already have too much. They're going to consider those. So personal credit should just be that, personal credit. Business credit should just be that, business credit. You build your business credit and you use it to build your business and to grow, to expand. Your personal credit, you just use your personal credit for your home and for other things. Well, I just purchased a second home with my business credit. So there's a lot of advantage to building business credit, and the home is strictly in the business name.
Can you tell people how they can build business credit? Because this may be foreign to some folks. How did they start? And then how did they get to the point where business credit is completely separate from personal credit?
Okay, before I go there, what makes the difference between a business credit and personal credit? Your personal credit is built upon payment history, how long you have the account, your debt to income ratio, and all of that. Your business credit is solely based on your payments. So if you're late on a payment on a business card, it's going to destroy your business credit. Your business credit is built solely on how you make your payments on the card or the loan, whatever you have for the business. While the personal credit is built based on so many things: credit history, late payment, debt to income ratio, and all of that. The business credit is solely based on your payment. Now, how you can build business credit? You cannot have a PO box for your business address. Yes, it can be your mailing address, but where it asks physical address, it cannot be a PO box. Lenders are denying businesses for credit if their business address says PO box. And another gem, it does not matter if you change the PO box to Sweet YZ so and so. There is a database that was built in the early 1940s or 30s of all the PO boxes here in the United States, and the lenders have access to that database. So all they do is punch the number in that database, and it will tell them if it's a PO box or not. Whether it's the post office PO box or the UPS, they can tell. A lot of people don't know that. I'm giving away my secrets here. A lot of people don't know that. They literally just, so, you go to the UPS and they said, oh, you can register as XYZ Suite 246 and so on, to make it look fancy instead of it saying PO box. Yes. All the lenders have to do is punch the address in, and once they punch it in, if it's a PO box, it's going to pop up that it's a PO box. So your PO box address that they just reword just for it to be fancy, to look good on paper, it's just a PO box. So you cannot have a PO box for your business physical address to build business credit. A cell phone number and a Google number will not work. They can tell when it's a Google number too. They can tell when it's a cell phone number. So it's best if you get a voice over number. Ring Central has it. Grasshopper has it. Vonage has it. And there's a few other companies you can get voice over where they answer the phone for you and in your business name and forward it to your cell phone or whatever you choose. But a cell phone number cannot be used and a Google number cannot be used. They can tell. They can tell. Again, they can tell when it's a cell phone number and a Google number. That will get you denied. The third thing, your business email needs to be attached to your domain. I have a Gmail account, yes, that I use for when I subscribe to stuff, but I have a business email that is attached to my domain. So my website is iamchantelllawrence.com. I have a business email that says hello@IamChantelLawrence.com. So when you're applying for anything to build your business credit, I use the one that says hello@IamChantelLawrence.com, because I had a client before she came to me, she got denied. And when I checked, because I'm friends with some of the underwriters, they said, oh, she has a Gmail email. What they want to see is that you're serious about your business and you take the necessary actions to look legit and be legit. They do not consider Gmail emails as a professional business email. So those are 3 things you need to correct before you apply to certain lenders. Yes, Uline will give you a line of credit when you have a Gmail account, but the serious ones that will give you the credit cards and so on, they will deny you for it. Because I've had clients that got denied because of PO Box, because of Gmail email, and because of cell phone number as their business number. So those are just a few. Some people say it's simple, but they're major. You can have everything else intact and one of those are off and you get denied for business credit. So it's all a matter of having everything set up correctly and your business looks professionally on paper, because when they check it out, if it's not, they're going to deny you, just like the PO Box thing that a lot of people don't know about. Yes, they know that there's so many PO Boxes in the United States, and there's a database with all the PO Boxes. Even if new post office are built and UPS stores location are built, they are entered into that database.
So there's so much to say in response to that. All I can say is I agree. I have friends who are in the credit building business, credit repair business credit business. And I have learned those things over the years, Chantel. So as we wrap this up, tell people where they can get a hold of you. Tell people, where they can get your products, how they can get on your schedule and be a part of what you're doing.
IamChantelLawrence.com. When you go to my website, it's very simple. It's beautiful. You'll see my face, and you want to get in touch with me. My contact information is there. hello@IamChantelLawrence.com. Just send me an email, and I will get back to you within 24 hours.
Awesome sauce. This has been the Dr. William Clark podcast with Chantel Lawrence. We'll see you in the next episode, guys. Peace.